I'm Wayne Carey, and this is The Truth Hurts. Here we are in beautiful Melbourne, beautiful sunny day out there again, which, Tony, you've probably got an umbrella with you, but gorgeous day again. How good has the weather been, and how good was, Torquay and Geelong on the weekend?
Well, I didn't get to either venue,
Episode 9 this is, by the way.
It is episode 9. Welcome back to The Truth Hurts, Duck.
It is good to be back in Melbourne. I've been getting down to Torquay quite a bit.
Yeah.
Tell you what, just cutting the ribbon of a nice little venue called After Hours get some traction.
I meant to ask, how did that go?
Well, you were there.
Oh, was not.
We might talk about it a little bit later, but
I only heard good things.
It was a very classy venue, and it was good. It was good. I think everyone enjoyed it. A lot of young boys. There were buck shows. There were all sorts of little people down there celebrating weddings coming up.
Yep. And you were well recognised.
Well, only because it was fairly well publicised that we were going to be there. So it was good. It was well run, professionally run. So they did a great job down there at After Hours. So that was good. But
yeah. Now, we know you like the Surf Coast, and you've been spending, as you said, a lot of time down at Torquay. And a little birdie tells me that you've been seen chasing dogs down there.
Chasing dogs. I'm not sure it takes a lot of chasing.
Tell us, there's a new addition to the Carey family.
How did you? What do you?
Well, just a little birdie said that you and the lovely Jess might have purchased a dog.
We had a Kelpie,
yes,
right, and then the Kelpie in the city became very difficult. So we've got
sheep in
a
your
good mate
backyard.
of mine. Yeah, a good mate of mine. His father Mick down at Port Fairy, he's got a big farm, and he's got obviously other working dogs. So in the end, we thought it was best for the dog to be on the farm chasing what they're designed to do and what they love doing, and that is running around in massive paddocks chasing sheep.
Well, you could have a job as Dr. Harry Cooper's sidekick soon.
I'm not so sure. So we did purchase. We did
really.
We
Now
did. So Baz from Gisborne, he's got.
No, don't ruin it.
No, he's got dogs down there, and we said, and he's been saying to me for ages, get another puppy, and we said we can't because we gave Frank away, and blah blah blah. We feel bad, and even though Frank's in a better place, as in on a farm, and it just didn't feel right to adopt or purchase another dog. Well, so Baz has been talking to me for over a year now about getting this particular puppy. And we've finally caved in and said yes. So it's been interesting. Been an interesting couple of weeks with him. Actually, 1 week today.
Yeah, okay.
1 week today.
Well, you're a big strapping lad. 6'4", 95 kilos. You would think that would assimilate into the dog world. And I would have thought maybe you would be running around after a Doberman or a German Shepherd or something big, something large, a pit bull. What have you gone with?
I'm not getting a lot of compliments. It's who I look like? Paris Hilton.
Where are we going with this?
We've got a toy poodle.
For all of our Truth Hurts fans out there, we think he's being legitimate.
It's about that big.
Is this for Carter?
We should have called it Ben.
Oh.
He's little ginger. Seriously,
I'm ginger as well.
I've got a toy poodle.
No, I'm strawberry blonde.
You know what? It's everyone that I say, they just go, Duck, you haven't got a toy poodle, have you? We have. And we honestly said, we spoke about calling it Tony, right?
Must be a good looking thing.
We spoke about Carter's got a cool little mate. I spoke about him last week when we went to Marvel. We went to Marvel with him, a little ginger hair mate, George, who's an absolute ripper. So we spoke about George. But
George is a better name.
Carter said, no George.
So what have you gone with?
We've gone with Fred.
Fred the poodle.
Could have been Bet. Yeah, Fred.
You're not moving to Beverly Hills, are you?
Freddie. It's that big. The first night away from its mum last week, it was fair to say crying, and you couldn't leave it anywhere. So Jess decided to sleep with it, and it pooped over her during the night.
On Jess.
Yeah, but this is the thing for anyone out there that's
you're not Dr. Harry Cooper.
Anyone out there that's prepared to have a crack about having a toy poodle.
Yeah.
there are pros and cons to everything. Yes, it's not the best look, me walking around with a little poodle.
Well, you don't worry about what other people think.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, so you walk down Middle Park Beach and you worry about what people say.
I'm one of those guys, if I see a big guy and he's walking with a little dog, I'm one of those guys that generally have a bit of a laugh, and it just doesn't suit. Because
Wayne, our 500,000 listeners have just fallen off the tram.
Poodles, I think, I believe or subscribe to this theory that dogs look like their owners.
Oh, yes.
Or they start to look like their owners. They morph into one another almost.
And you didn't get a Doberman?
Oh, boy, a Rottweiler. No, but so...
What are you going with me?
So walking down, you would be a Labrador, a red-headed lab, because...
Yeah, they're beautiful dogs.
Because, love water, eat until they pretty much...
balloon.
They just, whatever you put in front of them, they just gouge it down. They're a bit grubby.
I thought we were going to get through one episode without you criticising me.
No, you look good, actually.
Thank you.
So it's not the best look.
Okay, now...
I'm not walking him on a leash or anything like that. He hasn't even got a leash. But little poos. So the pros and cons.
So you're not sleeping in the same bed as Jess?
He's easy to look after. You throw him in you throw him in his little thing, and and clearly they don't need as much exercises in long walks. Yep. I mean, he's taken about 1,000 steps to each one of mine.
Yeah.
So I'm not going for long runs or anything like that.
So,
but the kids love him.
Well, that's the main thing. Now,
the cat doesn't like him. I've got a cat as well.
Yeah.
Luna,
yeah.
Yeah, Luna's got a nose
beautiful
out
cat,
of joint.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I can't gloss over, are you seriously worried about what people would think of you with Fred down the street?
It's not, and this is the problem with, it's not the best look.
Why? Like you said, what people think.
Like carrying around a little toy poodle.
You were the most arrogant footballer on the planet 20 years ago.
It is a gorgeous little dog. I've got to get over that, that insecurity. And
have you got insecurities?
We all have insecurities.
Yeah, but Wayne, you hide yours better than most.
Well, that's the thing that we've spoken about many times on this show, and that's why I do stuff with the GBS, because unfortunately, we do cover up the insecurities that we have. Some of the biggest, toughest guys on the outside, and some of them I'm really good friends with, are the more insecure mates that I've got. And then you have you've got mates that are, not as gruff, if that's the right word.
Or gregarious.
Yeah, they're more secure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we all put on masks. We spoke about that the first ever episode on the Truth Hurts. We spoke about those walls and those masks that we wear every day. Well, when I've got little Freddie in my arm, the mask comes on, and you just pretend no one's looking at you.
Well, you're very intuitive and you know people very well. In a pub sense, would you turn around and be more worried about the bloke who is silent, if not quiet, or the bloke who is running around making everybody aware of who he is?
What do you mean, be more wary?
Well,
why would I be wary of? I wouldn't be wary of either of them.
No, but in terms of a psychological sense,
one's maybe had a few too many beers. The other one's probably, sitting there.
But for those who are outlandish and in a sense a bit of a wanker, people turn and go, "Oh, he's just seeking attention." It's the people that don't outwardly project themselves onto everybody else. So they're the ones you've got to worry about.
I'll tell you what I stopped doing a long time ago, and I know I'm contradicting myself a little bit because, I do feel a little bit funny carrying a toy poodle around. But what I've stopped doing, and we all have done it, and is when you walk past someone and we judge them just on their
appearances.
On their appearance or their behaviour for that minute. And sometimes even, when you acknowledge someone walking past the beach, and it might be a female, it might be a male, and
could be another
elderly person or a younger person, doesn't matter. And you just acknowledge, or you say good morning because you're having a good morning. You would be carrying an umbrella, even though it's a beautiful day.
Around the tan.
But you'll just nod and smile.
Yes.
And when you don't get a nod and smile back, I used to judge. And I'd think, geez, they were a bit rude.
Yeah.
And then you don't take into account, you don't know what sort of morning that person's had. You don't know what's occurred what's going on in their life. And they might be going through something, quite horrific. Yeah. Something massive might have happened in their life, or they were daydreaming, or they're just, there's so many different things. But
we wouldn't expect you to be talking to them.
But we do judge. We do judge, and unfortunately, I think we judge too much.
I think particularly, which I'm going to cop a lot of heat for this on the Truth Hurts, but I think Melbourne as a whole can be very judgmental.
More judgmental than Sydney?
Very much so. Sydney
really
is a lot faster city. They don't necessarily care about what you wear, what you look like. They just want to make money and they want to be successful.
So if you wore that in Sydney, I
like this get-up. Yeah, no, my tailor made this.
No, I like it. It's good. I'm not sure why you're coming in with a suit on.
What, have you got your Nike sponsorship back?
Let's never left. Let's talk.
I want to talk about this. Your sabbatical's up this week. The most viral sabbatical in AFL football. Your 4-week non-appearance at either AFL games or watching.
And for all the tossers out there on Twitter or X, whatever it's called
and Instagram,
now, that talk about.
Peter Wright.
Talk about Peter Wright, but they're all saying, I thought you weren't watching footy. You're talking about footy. Mate, as I said, I've watched highlights and I've seen incidents within a game. I have not watched one whole game of footy at all.
Have you missed it?
Well, looking at results, no, I haven't.
Well, overall or just a few particular games?
No, there would have been a couple of games in particular. I'm glad it ends this week, though, because... we've obviously got some big games. But no, I wouldn't say I've missed it, especially given some of the results. I don't think the footy, and just talking to people about footy, and people talk to me a lot about it, is it as good a comp as, everyone's saying? I mean, my understanding is that there's no absolute standout with... Collingwood obviously back in some form. That's obviously a really good win. Geelong, we know.
Geelong,
just going their way. Well, Geelong finally played someone that, was worthy in Brisbane.
We'll talk about the surge betting app later.
Yep. Obviously up there, the rain, I think, would have helped Geelong. They've always been a team that handles the wet a little bit better than I would have thought.
Yep.
Brisbane up there. But... yeah, hasn't been like absolute outstanding great games. There's been a couple low scoring where they've been close.
Yep.
I did see the decision with Essendon on the weekend. Was it Essendon?
Yeah, Essendon and Adelaide. Yep.
Yeah, so
what did you think?
Saw that incident. So just to get back to all those people, so I've watched things. I haven't watched a game, and I said 4 weeks, not
the rest of your life
ever again.
Yeah.
So listen.
So Peter Wright's back this week, which is great, so that you can watch football.
So I've always enjoyed Anzac Day. The one day, and by the way, the one day we all should recognise and celebrate what's gone before us. And I often go to the dawn service.
Yep. How many have you been to? You reckon?
Probably not as many as I should have. Probably only 4.
What, as a retired player or as a player years ago?
No, retired player. So I was thinking about going on Thursday morning
with Carter.
Don't think Carter will be getting up that early. It would be good though to take him so that he understood
the appreciation of our forefathers and what they sacrificed.
I think, and that's the one thing that I really enjoy. You do see a lot of dads and mums that do take their young kids, and I think it's important that we explain to them, what the Anzacs did.
And because it's not just...
and the privileges that we have in this country would be because of the Anzacs.
Correct. And it's not just a football game where 100,000 people go to celebrate Collingwood and Essendon.
No, so I was always really, really envious about this game.
In terms of an opposition player?
Yeah. Oh, well, that wasn't played when we were... when I was playing. So Kevin Sheedy, by the way, another game that he's created, which is quite incredible. He's just done so much for this game, Kevin Sheedy.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that they give out an Anzac Day medal, and you run into Swanee or you run into Hurdy, and they've on their honour roll. It's I won 3 Anzac medals. Well, none of us had a bloody chance to win one. But if you're going to win a medal,
it's an esteemed medal.
I concur with that.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the great medals. Unfortunately, only 2
Two teams get to play.
Two teams get to play in that game.
Well, tell us, and for those people who don't get the chance to go to an Anzac Day game, which is probably the biggest game outside a prelim or a grand final.
Yeah, agree.
And tell them about how spine-tingling this place is.
It really is. And for a number of years now, Hamish is the MC.
Hamish McLaughlin.
Yeah, Hamish McLaughlin, who does a great job.
He's a very good host.
And he says that it's one of the most nerve-wracking things that he does. And he's done a lot of, big
he's
things.
Done Brownlows and grand
all
finals.
Sorts of stuff. Because he said he's just standing, just standing there, and he goes, if you muck that up, he goes,
oh, you're cooked.
the whole country's got their eyes on you.
It's not only Melbourne, it's Australia.
It is massive, that game.
I remember going there, I walked in as the last post was starting. I walked into the MCC members. This would have been 10 years ago or so. I remember walking in, and to think 100,000 people in a stadium, silent, staring at, three people, one being the host, the players obviously, and this person belting at the last post, it is something that is almost indescribable.
No, I agree with that. It's it's a rare feeling that you get, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get to that game. And it's also rare that two sides.
Oh, so you are going?
I'm not going to the game.
Oh, okay.
I'll watch it. Yeah, but I'll go to the dawn. I will go to the dawn service actually.
Yep.
And then sit back but two teams in form.
Yep.
So the Bombers, winning footy, Collingwood back in some ripping form. This is going to be big because sometimes, the Bombers have been down the bottom, Collingwood have been up the top.
Yep. And vice versa.
Yeah, and they always produce big games no matter where they are. Well,
Massive.
Right now, I don't think we're going to get a bigger one than this, or had a bigger one than this for some time.
Well,
so
let's check the weather, Duck, because that would play a key role in who could win. Where am I going to on this Apple iPhone?
You should know the weather. You carry around your umbrella.
Thursday, 19 degrees with a couple of clouds. So based on that, it should be a fantastic game for footy.
Yep.
Now, to go back to Essendon, what did you think of this debacle Friday night with Tex Walker and Sam Draper and falling on the ball and it costing them the game?
It's a free kick.
It was a free kick in your eyes.
Well, you can't dive on the ball. You can't lay on the ball.
But do you think Draper, after the final siren, took the piss and actually exacerbated the situation?
Well, if you lie on the ball and I know other players, and I think Tex might have helped him sort of pull it under a little bit. But at the end of the day, that gets paid, most times, especially when they dive on it because they're told to keep their feet, and we see it often. But we always go to that decision late in a game. There was stacks of those. Once again, holding the ball decision, I'm confused.
Yep.
Just like once again, the MRO. I'm confused.
Again.
Toby and Jesse up again. I have got Toby Green's defence though for.
Is this another Peter
for
Wright
the tribunal?
grandiose statement?
No. I think Toby Green, for character reasons, should be able to get up and say, "I'm a new dad.
Yes.
I've had no sleep.
Isla was born 5 weeks ago,
I've been changing nappies like you wouldn't believe. I'm father of the year."
I know he hasn't been getting a lot of sleep.
Yep. He should throw all of that defence at the tribunal, and I think he should be let off.
Oh, I love this, Duck.
Let's get a team behind Toby Green.
Yep, Dave Matthews, the chairman.
He's the father of the year.
He's the All-Australian captain.
Young father, All-Australian captain. He's a golden-haired child. He hasn't done anything wrong for a long time.
Yep.
Let's
reformed.
get a campaign. Let's get Toby off for being a good character and a great young dad.
Yep. Do you think he's got enough tickets in the petrol tank to say, well, I've been reformed for X amount of years?
Well, I don't know how long he's been reformed, but you know what? Let's see whether it works. Let's get him off. Jesse Hogan.
I was just going to say something about Toby.
Yep.
So, when he might have brushed that umpire down in Tasmania a few years ago and he was public enemy number one, Gil McLaughlin sent him back into the tribunal and then a month later said, he's my favourite player. What is going on?
Yeah, well, Toby, he's a gun. He's an absolute superstar. There's a little bit of frustration, not from his point of view, but then you've got Jesse Hogan who, has thrown out a powder puff.
Yep.
And maybe hit high, but we've seen that in the year, and that's just been a fine.
And again, it was against Carlton with I can't remember the Carlton player's name. Was it Nick Newman or?
So it's just a fine
With Lockie Neal, and there was a brush. which ended up hitting his head.
Correct. So
and that they were let off.
Off the back of that, we've got fines, haven't we?
But yes, you and I were talking off air. And is it a case of Michael Christian doing the, in inverted commas, the right thing by the game, and then offering Hogan and Green individually a week, and then they turn around and go, you can appeal it. You guys, we need success in Sydney. Toby Green's one of the best players in the competition. I think Jesse Hogan leads the Coleman. Let's get them off.
Yeah, well, I hope they get off. They're both fairly, and when you're in air once again, because Toby is in the air. We speak about this often, and he does turn his body, does hit high, but it's a football. He's attacking the footy.
Yeah,
we can't stop guys running at the footy. Maybe stop guys coming back with the flight
and putting themselves. Cunningham and Peter Wright.
Correct, putting themselves in harm's way. Cut that out of your game. But then that's not a part of our game. You show courage in our game and you attack the footy hard. And sometimes collisions happen, and I know, and we get people agreeing and disagreeing. Once again, though, let's
flip a coin. But it shouldn't
and that's what it'll end up being.
You're a champion of this game. Does this piss you off that we have to sit around every week and go, Toby Green's running at the football, and then he's not allowed to brace for his own impact?
I want to talk about two clubs that...
No, go back to, does it piss you off?
Yeah, it does. It does, which is why I haven't watched it for 4 weeks, and I've seen that incident, and he'll get off, and we'll be watching him this week.
We hope so.
For being the father of the year, young father of the year.
Well, Charlie Cameron got off for a sling tackle on Lever.
That's how he'll get off. Good character. So I want to talk quickly about the Cats sitting on top of the ladder, undefeated. Great win on the weekend.
6-0.
And Sydney, are they the two best clubs in the last 15 years?
What do you mean clubs? You mean on field? You mean encapsulating everything?
Everything.
So from the chairman down.
The way they're run, the way they're coached.
Yep.
I think John Longmire and Chris Scott, they don't have the premierships that Alistair Clarkson has. Johnny Longmire's been to the big dance a number of times, as has Chris Scott, who's got 2. Horse's got 1, but lost 3, I think, Horse. Remarkable, the fact that they keep reinventing their teams and their club. And they're just great organisations, those two. Johnny Long, the way he handles himself in the media, I think...
He doesn't say much.
No, but you don't see Johnny Longmire, facing, the media about it. Chris Scott, I think, just is articulate as anyone. But also makes really strong points and doesn't hide behind, bull crap answers. He's very straight in the way he conducts himself. I just think that they should take a bow, those two clubs as a whole. And the way, as you said, on and off the ground, they are unbelievable.
They are.
So
what excites you about both of those teams?
Well, they've reinvented themselves. They've got good young talent coming through. They're playing exciting footy.
And they're 1 and 2 on the ladder.
Yeah, I know that. That's why I thought I'd talk about it. Talk about the ladder.
Yeah.
And talk about clubs. What about, we briefly touched on my old club, North Melbourne, last week or the week before.
Well, I know you played there, but is there any affinity with that club?
So I looked at the score. That's all I had to look at.
Yep.
The score.
Well, they kicked 10-8.
So they got beaten 45 points?
Yeah.
Yep. So the next closest team hadn't won a game to them was Hawthorn, 17th v 18th.
Yep.
And they still get beaten by 45 points. That is as embarrassing a loss, I reckon, that they've had for quite some time, given where both clubs are at and given how Hawthorn were playing. That is
couldn't
shocking.
agree more. Do you know what their percentage is?
Alistair Clarkson has spoken about, the bigger bodies over the last, the few weeks. Last year, under Brett Ratten, when Brett Ratten was there, I've said this, they performed admirably and nearly won a couple of big games. One of them was against Sydney. We've spoken about this before. They are not playing.
That was when they gave away that free kick at
anywhere
Marvel.
Near the sort of footy that they should. And Clarko many weeks ago said they needed guys like Zerha and all these guys in the middle range, are stepping up and playing their best footy in their careers. Larky was All-Australian last year, so he to at least replicate that. But others, come along for the ride. Not the young guys. We're not talking about Wardlaw. We're not talking about Sheasel. We're not talking about these guys.
And Drury.
No, we're talking about McCurches. We want that middle rung.
Yep.
They have to step up. And I don't think they
Simpkins and these type of players.
And unfortunately, they're not getting the buy-in from everyone. I don't think they're...
Well, Zerha looks like he's almost sort of not invested into the game.
I talk about one thing, desire.
Do they have any?
And I'm not sure that they have, or they don't play with a desire like other teams. Look at Ross Lyon teams.
Barring the weekend.
Yeah, I know. They had a poor... But are St Kilda that much more talented than North Melbourne when you look at their list?
More experienced. But
it's not. Is it? Do you look at it and go, "Oh wow, they're way better than North Melbourne"? I don't.
Well, you know football better than anybody.
And there's a lot of scribes out there also talking about, what to do with Sheasel. He's got to now go into the midfield. He's got to play forward and all. What do you think Sheasel's going? Do you think North Melbourne are going to be more competitive by Sheasel doing that, or North Melbourne going to win games? No, you're not.
So if you're a coach or CEO of the Kangaroos, what would you do?
Stick to the plan. This is the other... you're seeing now Clarko, who, once upon a time...
was the Messiah.
All conquering, take no shit from media. All of a sudden...
And was very decisive.
All of a sudden, there's some cracks appearing in terms of, people saying the pressure upon him to do more with Sheasel. Stick to your guns, Clarko. Stick to your guns. If your plan was to keep playing him off half-back, keep playing him off-back. Don't bend for scribes in the media.
External pressure.
Just because you're getting beaten by Hawthorn by 45 points. Because whether Sheasel played in the middle or forward on the weekend, they still get beaten by 45 points. I'm sorry. So it's not just one player. The other thing...
What would you do?
I do think that everyone's talking about, the... Kick-outs have got to go off the stat sheet.
I like it.
Well, it's a load of crap.
Yeah. And they get to run 35 metres.
Well, they're talking about how many possessions people have. Sheasel is a gun, right? He's a gun. He really is. But he's not going to win games for North off his own boot by going into the middle of the ground or going forward. Now, yes, will he be more damaging there? Maybe. Who else do they have to take the kick-in? But take the kick-ins off...
Who is it, Zach Fisher or...
No, Sheasel's doing a lot of the kick-ins as well. So, he's getting 35 possessions every week. But 15 of them are kick-ins.
But that's a waste to having one of the best midfielders going around.
Well, maybe, but if it was their plan to keep him there. Don't be...
What?
Stood over and fold just because people are saying don't do it.
One thing I want to bring up with you in regards to your former club... Does Jai Simpkin keep the captaincy?
I'm not close enough to it to know. The captaincy's more than what you see on game day.
Yeah,
captaincy. It's what you do, outside the club, training, et cetera, and how players, who the players listen to when they speak, and do they have that authority with the playing group?
Yep.
So there's more to it. While we're on that, let's have a look through the best betting app that there is in the
best betting app,
Surge, and we spoke about Surge last week. I tell you what, they have thrown up.
A couple of blokes rang me and said, "Where do we get on?"
Very early. I do want to say this though. I was shocking.
In what sense?
Last week.
With your betting?
Well, if you tipped 8 winners or 9 winners last week, you got no idea about footy. I'm prepared to say that.
Yes.
You've picked your lucky colours or you've done something.
Yeah.
Because
any games stick out to you?
Well, how many? It is hard. It has been very hard to pick a winner.
Well, your tips can only
especially
go up from
last week. I know. So, let's have a little bit of a look at 3 games, all right, for Surge, and make sure you power up, all right? So let's have a little bit of a look. So you've got the Anzac Day game.
Yes, we've got the Anzac Day game. Who do you like?
Well,
I'll tell you what I'll do. Why don't I throw up the odds?
Do that.
So Essendon is at 265, Collingwood at $1.49 according to the Surge app.
Well, they say Peter Wright's back.
Peter Wright's back.
Yep.
He's available for selection.
Well, he's going to bring him in.
Well, you would think so, yeah. Well, he's 6'8" and he's a very good player.
I'll tell you that's a fascinating game. But at 265, I think Collingwood I know they're back in some. They played really good on the weekend.
They kicked one goal in the first quarter, and Port Adelaide was smashing them.
Yeah, but they beat a quality opposition.
To come back from that deficit.
Like I said, I looked at the scores, and I saw that they kicked a stack of goals in a row. So they're back to playing 8 or 9 in a row. Yeah, so they're playing some really good offensive football. But at $2.65, you would. I don't think I'd tip against the Pies, but I like the look of the 265.
Well, based on Essendon's performance against Adelaide, I like Collingwood.
Yeah, well, on the last couple of years, you're trusting Collingwood more. That's what you're doing.
Well, they are reigning premiers.
Yep, GWS and the Lions.
Yes, GWS at $1.94 and the Lions at $1.90. Now, this is a big game, Duck. Big game.
Massive, but this all hangs. So here we are on a Monday. This hangs on whether Toby Green and Jesse Hogan get off. So if they get off with fines, then I would go with GWS.
What about Sam Taylor's still out?
$1.94.
Sam Taylor's out.
So what are GWS $1.94? The Lions $1.90.
Maybe they haven't taken into consideration all of the
factors.
Well,
they haven't, because if Toby Green and Jesse Hogan are out, then you're not back in GWS.
Yeah, I reckon the Giants will go out to $3 or $4.
Yep. So,
but and Taylor still doesn't look like he'll be back. And then, so who do you put on? He put in Danaher.
Fascinating game, that one.
It is.
But it all hangs on the tribunal. Toby Green to get off for being the young father of the year.
Yes.
Cats v the Blues.
Saturday night, the Cats are $1.82. Carlton's $2.02 according to Surge.
Well, the Blues,
Blues.
Well, the Blues are playing great quarters within a game and some poor quarters. Just purely looking
in isolation, you're right.
Yeah, what they kick. The Cats just ultra consistent, and when I look at teams and it is a 50-50, I just go with the trust factor. Who has been more consistent and who has delivered for you more often than not?
Yep.
So when you're looking at having a bet with Surge and you want to power up, make sure that's generally how I do it. Now, sometimes we overthink it and we can get all analytical about it, but it goes off trust.
Yeah, agreed.
Now, you can lose trust very quickly, trust me.
I'm not touching that.
And you can gain it very quickly as well.
Yeah.
So I trust the Cats more, so I'll be going with the Cats over the Blues.
So you reckon the Blues have got any chance?
Yes, of course they do. They've got a big chance, and when you've got Charlie Curnow being able to just grab games by the scruff of the neck,
yep.
That's a rarity in our game. We have a lot of accumulators. We don't have stacks of match winners.
Yep.
Geelong have got two big guys up one end that can grab a game by the scruff of the neck. And a couple of small guys that can do the same.
Stengel
these guys. And the Blues have, they pretty much have Charlie.
Yeah.
He's the guy that grabs the game.
Yes, but what about Sam Walsh's return? What a star.
Yeah,
you and I were talking about that the other day. I
saw his disposals, but once again, he can get into the accumulate phase. I like to see, you want to see, I don't care about 35, 36. I mean, guys like Dusty and these guys that have 24 but kick 2 or 3 is more damaging than having 35, depending on where they are on the ground, which is the argument about Sheasel.
Yep.
So there you go. So
before we leave that game, obviously two boys you played against, Michael Voss versus your old teammate and Chris Scott, should be a salivating matchup.
Yeah, I'm not sure they worry about the fact that they played. Voss was a better player than Chris.
Yeah, well, he won at Brownlow and was club champion X amount of times, and Vossi was a star.
Vossi will always have that over Chris, no matter what Vossi does.
Chris was a tough bastard.
Hey?
He was very tough. I played junior footy with him.
Oh, mate, Snow White would be tough.
Hey, you know what? You don't have to be tough when your bloke's around you.
No, that's anyway. They're the odds for Surge. So
gamble responsibly, Duck, which I know you do.
Absolutely.
Surge is a betting app that helps you punt with power. Watch live Sky Racing fast on Surge and enjoy shockingly good daily promos across racing and all your favourite sports. Whether you're a seasoned punter or new to the game, Surge is the app for you. Download Surge now for a powerful betting experience.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Okay, so there you go, Tony. So what else have we got for the rest of the show? We did...
Well, should we dare bring up about number 4 at the Tigers?
Oh, you did bring up 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
And just so people know out there, when you mentioned that Dusty might... Well, you tell us what you said. And I was saying I don't like rumours.
But it wasn't a rumour.
Or innuendo. And I hate... And this isn't a show. This is a Truth Hurts. This isn't a show where we come on and, just throw crap out there.
Duck, would I have put your reputation in jeopardy?
Well,
or mine?
I was very apprehensive about what you said. But
you can be apprehensive.
Since you spoke about that, we've had Trent Cotchin, good mates of Dusty's. And
live together.
Yeah, and obviously he's captain for his whole career. He has come out and he came out and said it wouldn't surprise if, he'd left. There were others that he mentioned as well.
Last Wednesday on Talking Footy, he said, he was asked by James Brayshaw and said, is Liam Baker and Dustin Martin likely to be in a Richmond jumper next year? And he said, one, if not both, will not be at the Tigers next year.
So what? So are you doubling down? You still think...
I'm doubling down. I spoke to since I came out and said that, I have had... others who said I was right, and then I went back to my person of interest, as you would call him, who is connected to Dustin Martin, and he said 100% he is retiring and they will nurse him through to 300. Now, his form would be indicative of a person who's not invested. We saw that against West Coast last week where Harley Reid made Dusty look second rate.
Harley Reid
ran out of the centre, a la Chris Judd, and Dusty's like, well, I'm just going to watch this kid. Even you said he's going to areas where he never used to go to accumulate possessions.
Let's talk about Harley Reid because his last couple of weeks have been exceptional.
Yeah.
He's a man-child.
Yeah.
He is.
So 19 on Wednesday.
Yeah, absolute bull.
Yeah.
He's a gun, isn't
he? But is that a compliment?
He's not
a man-child?
Well, no, because there are players that come in. You look at, he's got that raw power. He's like Mark, the likes of Mark Rasciuto, and he's sort of that height, I guess, and that build. And he'll probably end. I don't know what his weight is now, although you're not allowed to talk about.
Oh, stuff that. Yeah.
Are you glad that? Were you one of the ones that come out and said, you're not allowed to talk about players or
I couldn't
putting players' weight?
What a load of... That is woke garbage.
That is absolute... We're talking about professional athletes that, you're talking about their weight and you're talking about matchups. And I think it's fascinating because he's a guy, and because of that reason, I don't actually know his weight, but I'm sure you could look it up somewhere.
Reid.
Yeah, but Mark Rasciuto got to about 94, 95 kilos, I reckon, at one stage. So that's big for a midfield. That's massive for a midfielder. Now, we know that Paddy Cripps is 6'4", and he's around that 95, but he has that extra height.
Yeah.
So a guy like Harley Reid,
he might get 195 centimetres.
Yeah, that's what I said. So Harley might get to, not in the 90s or the mid 90s.
You're not going to believe this.
What?
I've just gone to the West Coast Eagles website. Harley Reid, midfielder, 19 years of age, 187 centimetres, no kilos.
Oh, you're kidding.
This is...
See? I mean,
where are we going with this, Duck?
Anyway, he's going to be
not going to be. I think he's almost on the verge of stardom.
Oh, just calm the farm. The bloke's played a few good games.
He's a star.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, well, he's not a star yet.
Well,
he's not even. You can't even classify him as a good player yet.
Why? What? Because there's no continuity.
Well, he hasn't done it for long enough. He hasn't even played one good year at AFL level.
Well, he's only played 6 games.
He's a star. He's showing signs of being a superstar.
Yeah,
you can say he's showing signs of this, but you can't call him that already.
Are you saying the term is thrown around too loosely?
All the terms are. We
Champion, legend,
everyone gets over excited. And yes, he's showing signs. We should be getting excited about him. But he's not a star yet.
So when I said last week that we should compare him to Chris Judd, you dismissed it as
I just don't
bullshit.
think they're similar players.
I do.
Well, yeah, I said 2 arms and 2 legs.
Oh. Well, you turned around and said you could be in a coffin for 5 years, come back and know more about the game than I would.
Well, yeah. Oh, boy.
No, I think, you know what, and I'm going to go over that. I think Reid will be as good as Judd, maybe if not better.
Oh, that's a big statement.
Mate, he's got all the hallmarks of Juddy. Juddy was lauded as a star at 19. Was running out of packs. And
big statement. If he ends up as good as Judd, well, he will be a champion.
Your mate Nathan Brown said as much on the Sunday Footy show yesterday.
He will be a champion because Chris Judd is a champion.
Chris Judd is a champion
of the game. We don't often talk about the interstate sides, and we should. Port Adelaide disappointing, as we said. West Coast.
They played a really good first quarter.
West Coast unbelievable. Fremantle disappointing. The other one that was disappointing, Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Everyone getting all fluffy about the Gold Coast and how good
in charge.
They're going to be, and they're coming and this and that. Well, big step backwards on the weekend.
But were the expectations grandiose compared to what they can put on the field?
Well, I was expecting that game to be closer than what it was.
Oh, I agree. On Sydney's home deck yesterday,
they got an absolute shellacking.
Yeah, disappointing.
Quality team, Sydney.
Quality.
Gold Coast.
You lauded them as the best half an hour ago.
Everyone expecting Gold Coast to improve. They take a step backwards. Port Adelaide the same. It's an interesting year, isn't it? Just when you think a side is going along okay, Melbourne obviously, there's a lot of little cracks. No one is really standing out.
Geelong is.
No, the question for Geelong is they played quality opposition on the weekend.
Yep.
They got quality opposition, we hope, again this week with the Blues. But
that's your subtle dig at the MRO.
The weeks prior to that, I don't think they'd played too many teams. So
they had a good win over Hawthorn. They beat North Melbourne. So it's an easy run thus far, bar the Lions.
Correct. So anyway, few sides taking backward steps, few sides moving forward. It does set up to be an interesting year. I am looking forward to Anzac Day. It is going to be a ripper. So for anyone out there that, doesn't really understand, and a lot of the young people probably don't, if you're a parent of young kids, I reckon explain to them about what the Anzacs did for this country. And get them to the dawn service, or if it's too early, at least get to one of the services at some point and explain to them what an incredible people they were. And
sage advice, Duck.
Hey, yes.
So now, who's going to win the medal, the Anzac Day medal?
Oh, well, if you're going to hop on your Surge betting app and have a look at the Anzac medal, I'll throw one up here, and he's just, I know, I'll say, who hasn't been in good form. I hope he's not injured. I don't think he's been in good form according to what I've read and the snippets, but I'll say Jordan De Goey.
Yeah, star.
Jordan De Goey. You know what he's been, and I'll tell you why. He's been very big in big games. His finals record is very, very good, Jordan De Goey. So he's my little...
Okay, well, I might stick with the same team. I might go Scott Pendlebury.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think he's won 4 of them.
Yeah, but he knows it's potentially his last season. He gets up for big games, and I think he's probably going to set himself for this. 85,000 people against Essendon, 2 war horses. I reckon he can come back, and this will be his breakout game for the rest of the year.
I'll tell you what, we're going to break the Truth Hurts up in the coming weeks, and we're going to start running a couple of segments. Well, I want to actually run a couple of. I want to get the people invested. So we're going to run a couple of comps.
Your email inbox is full.
We're going to run a couple of comps. All right, and
give it to us.
We start next week. So there's a little teaser. Start next week. A couple of competitions for people to win some amazing stuff.
Yep, and they don't get to cut the ribbon either. Now, Duck, there was something I want to bring up, which is a little tidbit out of...
Tell you what I did notice about cutting of the ribbon down there at After Hours is tattoos are very popular.
Yeah, they are.
Very popular.
Yeah, down at... we allowed to say the name, down at After Dark?
After Hours.
After Hours, After Dark.
Well, if it's after hours, it's generally dark.
Well,
unless you get home when you got home.
No, I didn't. I didn't go.
The sun was coming up.
Well, no, apparently from all reports, you performed very well down there.
Oh, you're a goose.
Had a couple of waters.
All right.
Now, before we go on, one more. Essendon, the way they sang the song after the Adelaide win. Why can't the other 17 clubs do similar? It was a great rendition of the song over in Adelaide. beat them by 3 points. It was fantastic. Tex Walker had cracked the shits, was demonstrative towards the umpires. But you know what was funny, Duck? The Channel 7 cameraman, in a rarity, was allowed in the circle to film all the players.
Yep.
And as the Essendon players stopped singing the theme song, the Channel 7 cameraman gave a fist pump. He's obviously an Essendon supporter.
Well, when you have a big win on the road, that's the type that's the passion
and the camaraderie. Why can't Carlton do this?
I'll tell you what, if North Melbourne ever win a game again, I think you'll see that same sort of passion. Yeah, they'll sing the song the same way.
Like I can't fathom that teams like even Geelong turn and go,
because they win every week.
No, but you know what? Then one thing that I wanted to bring up,
they have a big win.
Do not play the theme song as the teams run out.
I tell you what, if Geelong get up by 4 points against the Blues in front of 80,000, then you'll see that the Cats sing with a bit of passion. If they just run-of-the-mill wins, the Cats, they're just that used to it. It's just...
What about the NRL boys do it with gusto and throw beer and Gatorade and water everywhere?
Do they still have beer? Do the NRL boys still have a beer in the rooms?
Well, VB and Gatorade and Forex, don't they?
I remember many years ago when playing during the 90s, you would go to the odd NRL game, Storm game, and you'd go into the rooms, and they still had the beers on ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the AFL don't do that.
Well,
that hasn't been done for a long time.
Hey, now one thing, just before we go, Duck, about that incident in the sheds in the NRL. I think it was Reid Marnie and Jack actually crossed paths in the tunnel as they were being let off the field and have gone toe to toe. Is that something that has ever happened with you or an AFL game?
So hang on. So at the game.
Yeah, they both walked down the tunnel.
So they just finished the game?
Well, I think it was during the game, and then there's been vision of the two boys like shaping up in the tunnel with other officials from opposing sides.
Oh.
But didn't that happen like years ago when both teams would share rooms side by side?
Yeah, and you'd come out of the same race.
Yeah. Did that ever happen back in your day?
I can't. Well, never any trouble. But the AFL stopped that for a reason. Yeah. Because for that exact reason. So are they still coming out of the same race? Clearly.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I would have thought that probably has to change.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make sure it was Reid Marnie and Jackson somebody. So I'll get that sorted.
It evokes a lot of passion and energy,
which is great.
Yeah, and just goes to show you that they care.
Well, as long as there's no injuries, correct.
No one's hurt. They're standing face to face.
People love confrontation. They love comparisons, and they love not violence, but they love
confrontation.
Yeah, people. Why do you think?
I don't really love confrontation.
I didn't mean in the Botanical Hotel. I meant out on the footy field. The AFL is basketball-like, and this is why Toby Green is potentially facing a week on the sidelines.
Good to see that you're confrontational. Good boy.
No, thank you.
All right, see you next week.
Great episode.